Right, guys, let's start off with the Moira Stadium builds. These are the ones that you want to pick. So going into round 1, you want to pick one of these. So Chain Grasp is really, really good just for right-clicking players. In the first round, it's really strong. Deconstruction also works when you're healing your team and you've got to clean up, just to then, again, put out a right-click and you get quite a substantial boost. This also scales really good into the late game. Cross Orbal is my favorite to use. It means that if you decide to fire a healing orb at your team, you're also firing a damage orb at the team. There's also a really cool trick where you can fire one orb in one direction, then quickly rotate your camera to fire another one in the other direction. So that means you could fire a damage orb towards the enemy team, quickly turn and have the healing orb fire at your team. This one's really good, but only with certain builds, and I'd call this like the anti-heal build. I'll go into that shortly. So items wise, just get these every time in the first round. 5% weapon power, 10% ability power, and 25 armor. The armor's really good. Just get that in your first round and you're sorted. Now going into round 2, sell, sell, sell. You've got the option. You'll have to judge by how much cash you've actually got, but I really like picking this because Moira suffers a lot in the second round. So you've got the option to basically just stack a whole bunch of damage reduction, again with one of these power-ups, whichever one you picked. In the second round, again, it doesn't matter what you're going to have. The only exception could be if you've opted to get this one, if you've got the cash and it's normally just not enough, there is the option to go for this early. If you've got 11,000, having this one with this will apply the critical hits. You don't have to hit their head. I'll show you what I mean, right? Right now we've got that. I just right click and you see that little icon up the top. That means they've got reduced healing. If we don't have this power up and we just have this, it doesn't work. We don't get that icon. But generally in round 2, you're going to suffer. Moira's not too strong, so I personally like to opt for as much of this damage reduction as I can with whichever of these I picked at the start. It allows you to just stay there and heal for longer. I think that's a really good option. Now, round 3 is where it gets really interesting when you get your second power up. Let's start off with the full orb build. You have to have selected this one first. If you then went for multi-ball, then you've got the option for this one. So in round 3, you'll be able to sell everything again on these items. This as your primary option, and this is your secondary. If you can get this build, this is really strong because you're going to have so many orbs that have a wider latch-on range and they're slower when they hit. Do not, under any circumstances, pick this as your first power-up. Let me show you why. I will fire at the training bot. See how much they've got. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a bit health. Now I'm going to remove that. This is how much it does with just an orb. You're talking like between 5 and 12 damage is what those the 2 on the side are doing. It's just not worth it. Do not get multi-ball if you haven't got something else with it. It starts to become a good ability later on when you start to get things like this. Multi-ball at the start is awful. Now, one of the best late game builds that you can have for Moira, and this is really good if the enemy team has a diva, especially since you probably can't get that much value out of the orb builds, is to go for the on-hit build. This revolves around having the deconstruction power and the mark of Kitsune. I'll show you how this works and then how to make it better. So what you're going to do first of all is while you're healing up your team or healing the air, you're going to get this damage amplification. You see the up arrows that are appeared on the screen? Once this becomes active, you're going to fade, right click, orb, right click. We can kill targets very quickly. If you add additional ability power, it has a huge effect. You can further enhance this by again having this 3-tap Tommy gun weapon power that ignores 50% of armor's damage reduction. Eye of the Spider deals 10% increased damage to enemies below 30% life. Or Volskaya Ordnance that deals 3% increased weapon damage for every 100 max life that a target has more than you, up to 15%. Here's what this looks like on a Roadhog. Aha. You can combine this with chain grafts to make it even more deadly to multiple targets, and it's just crazy, especially if they have not put any defensive or survival abilities on the healers or the DPS. You can just decimate them. Now, obviously this build is unrealistic, it's super expensive, but you only need certain elements of them. It revolves around this one, and then just ability power can work. Of course, you can then judge in the late game which of these is going to be more beneficial for you. For example, if everybody's stacking armor, this is insane, especially against tanks like Reinhardt, who have crazy health. If you want a bit of a finisher against squishies, this is quite good. This one's really good if a player is stacking just health, and so is this one. Alternatively though, you can opt to go more of the survival route and just get some ability power. And you can get ability power for cheap, remember. There's 10%, there's 20%. That doesn't cost a lot in the early rounds, where you won't have the money to get all the purple ones. Furthermore, if you want, you can also increase the range of your grasp, which helps to proc it more. It means that you can be a safer distance, and these builds become just insane in the late game. Also, when you've stacked ability power, Coalescence hurts a lot, so this could certainly be a consideration for you. Lastly, there are a number of passive heal bot builds. I haven't spent too much time experimenting with them, but I would recommend having a lot of damage reduction in these builds because, yeah, it's all about staying alive and just providing constant heal output to your team. I will explore these further in a future video. So, let's showcase some of these builds in action. Enjoy, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will be releasing so much more info on this game mode. There's just so much depth to it, we have to explore it all. See you in the next one. Ha! Surrender to my will. Oh my god, Ryan just evaporates. Ah, they bought armor, but we got him anyway. He did not expect that. Oh, the dynamite hurts.
Assistance is always rewarded.